Some think that there's nothing as a high value man.
There is nothing. Let's say a high value person. Are you an MVP? Are we playing basketball? You know, are we? No, there is no such thing as high value man.
So do you think there are no high value women?
The fact that you're pricing people, like you're putting people on levels, it's nonsense to me. Because your high value man can be trash to someone else, whereas someone's trash can be someone else's high value person. It doesn't mean sorry.
Don't make a man or anyone that you're dating your whole word, basically, because over time, if that ends or if it doesn't work anymore, and you've adjusted everything about yourself to that person, and it doesn't work, you kind of completely lose yourself, and then you start to find yourself in a very strange place mentally and emotionally. So
one of the ways in which I feel like also some men are insecure, and I say this without apologies, is when men say women are not submissive. I think the whole submission conversation. Okay, now you go for it.
Like how we're all bouncing off of each other.
Hi, ladies. Hi. So I'm excited to have you here, and we're going to have a Valentine's Day edition of this conversation. Ooh. So it's all red and all love. And most often in our communities and our cultures, we often not thought a lot about dating and relationships. And I was thinking about all of the other content that I see online about so many different kinds of dating advice. And it gets overwhelming sometimes.
It does.
Especially if you navigating dating in these times. And I just thought it would be really important for us as young women who are in our 30s. 30s.
Yes.
I was like, should I say it? Yeah. To have this conversation about what we've learned so far on our journeys. Hopefully people who are younger than us can learn. And who knows, someone who's older or people who are older might pick up some nuggets from this conversation. It's going to be a very interesting format. We're each going to share 3 of the top things we have learned dating or navigating this dating world. We're just going to go straight to it. So I'm going to share my first one. I understand that some will overlap, so we'll just all chip in. So, you ready?
Yeah. Go for it.
So I'll start and then we go around the room. My first one is, what you see is what you get. I have come to firmly believe this, and it is at the top of my list. And for me, it is not about trying to change anyone. It's not about hoping someone would grow to change or hoping someone would grow to treat me better, but just knowing that what I see is what I get.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, you want to add anything to based on experience?
I think it's in one of my in my list as well, because that's where we're saying we're overlapping.
Yeah.
And I would like to add also that the fact that we are able to see now, to recognize that what you see is actually what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And young women should not be scared of leaving when they see that what the behavior doesn't align with what they want.
Yeah.
You know, shouldn't be scared of like, okay, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
Or I have not seen enough. Let me pack my bags and go.
I've seen signs.
Yes. You also have to see the signs, you know.
Because I think that was we had, and for anyone watching, Djouka and I had a conversation about navigating the dating world as a neurodivergent Black woman. If you're interested, please check the channel for that conversation. I'll link it in the description of this video. We had a conversation, and it was one of the things that you mentioned about being open with what you want. So if you're clear with what you want, and then you see that what you're seeing is not what you want, you would definitely let things go.
Yes.
Anything to add? Temi?
I mean, it's kind of almost like what I've actually listed as well. You know, I kind of listed it as potentials, not dating potentials, you know. And I feel like we kind of all can get carried away.
Yeah.
Over time, we're like, okay, it's going to change. I see that it's going to change, and I can see this A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And that can kind of fog our minds sometimes when we're making decisions, and you almost convinced yourself that that's, you know, and it's something that you learn that you can't really kind of, hope that things will change. It kind of will be, it's something that you're setting yourself in the long run for a disaster. And that's one of the
Because my thing is also, what you see on day 1 is what you see on day 100.
It is.
And what you see on day 100 is what you see on day 1,000.
Yeah.
And we've I don't know who actually made us feel like the whole potential thing. I think it started with finances and stuff. People are, if he's not got a lot of money, it's okay. You should be okay to go with him. And then it got to the whole part where people are even compromising on things
Behavior.
like verbal abuse.
Yeah.
That's just enough. At the very first sign, and I have a very strong, like I have a very strong stance on it. It's just like a no. It's not even a red flag. It's like bye. It's like a formula and I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's like the very first sign I see of verbal abuse or even like trying to manipulate me, because there's like those narcissist people that also try to manipulate you. As soon as I see any of those signs, I am gone. Bye.
Because there's a lot of gaslighting going on, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's quite complicated. It depends on the stage of life that you're at already. If you're self-aware, you're able to see some of those things, or you're confident enough to be like, okay, I'm not going to tolerate this, and then I'm moving forward. Whereas if you're not very confident enough, or you're
maybe you just started dating as well,
and then you think, okay, you know what, I can compromise, and that's the level where you can get into that level of abuse where you're even missing all those little signs and stuff. So it depends at the stage of your life where you're already working on yourself, you know what you want, and you're very confident about what you want, and you're not trying to compromise. So that's another thing, because you can see it, but like, you know what, maybe I deserve this, maybe I don't deserve more, and you're not used to that kind of maybe this is the best that's actually happened to you.
Yeah, oh my God, that's true.
So
that's true, because like there's a fear of, what if I don't meet anyone?
It's sad.
Anyway, what do you have? What's the first thing you have on your...
What was that?
Oh, what? And you also had potential.
Yeah, mine was potential, and it's quite similar.
It wasn't the first one, but it was
one of them.
Yeah, so I think I would just like, let's keep the topic going.
I had potential, and I also had the red flag you see now, which is quite similar. It's the same red flag that will cause issues in the same relationship or potentially end the relationship.
Wow, I agree.
So
I agree.
And and I think, over time it kind of links to the potential, because you're thinking, oh, maybe this person will change, or you're too distracted by other things where that person is ticking, and you're thinking, you know what, maybe this is okay. I can over time, get over this, or I'll be able to compromise and we'll work it through. But like you said, we can't really change people. People are who they are and who they've already presented themselves to be. Yes, we're always evolving.
Yeah.
But we can't really try and change people over time.
Because, the truth is, can someone change you?
No.
Can someone change you? I feel
think
like...
it's myself that will change. It will be something that will be within you. To change.
You need to come from you.
Yeah.
If someone's trying to force you to be someone who you're not.
No.
First of all, you're going to feel so alien in your own body. And so, like, why are you doing? You're forcing me to be who I am now.
Yeah.
And it's very invasive, like trying to manipulating you into becoming something you're not.
Yeah, that's literally,
Because imagine living like 20, 30 years of your life being something or working towards becoming something, and all of a sudden some stranger from somewhere comes and wants you to ask you to change.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what you see with me, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Unless of course, like you said, I really want to change something about myself.
Exactly.
All right, let's actually do one of your other ones.
One of my other ones were actually to put yourself first. We talked about this a little bit off camera, and about how as a woman we always, especially like black women, we are taught to cater to everyone but ourselves. And I feel like it's such a pity that we do not have the opportunity to discover what we want in life, who we are, what we like, the type of food that we want to, because since young we're taught to cater to your brothers and sisters, especially the brothers, to obey your father and all the elderlies, to cook the food that everyone likes. No one is asking you what you actually like to eat. You just have to cook the food for the family, you know. And then as soon as maybe you have chance to go to school, or you can, if you have the opportunity to get your own place, you still have to come back home because they don't let you be by yourself. They don't trust you being by yourself. Then after that, you're interested into someone's. They're expecting you to go from graduating to directly be someone else's wife.
And
then from then, you're repeating the cycle. You're cooking for him. You're catering to him. You're not building up your own persona to know what you actually want in life and what you can actually become before being someone else's wife or someone else's mother. So that was one of my points, that you have to put yourself first and prioritize your growth as a person.
That's also something that I had. It was my second point, but I put it differently. I said, know yourself and what you want. I really did not know how important it was for me to do this, because again, nobody talks about dating. I don't know about your homes, but because I think it's very common in African homes. Nobody teaches you anything. No. They just throw you out there to the wolves, and you're supposed to come home with
either with a belly or with a ring.
And nobody taught me these things. And at this point, I have had to. For example, a lot of us have had to learn the hard way. Literally. At this point, I agree. I'm saying know yourself and what you want. Basically, do some self-work, introspection. If you have to find someone to talk to, a therapist, whatever, just know yourself. Self-awareness is key. And what you want is important.
Exactly.
Men do not compromise on what they want. If they're going for the girl this size, the girl with this, the girl with that, who has all of these things, they would go for that girl, even if they waste the time of 10 girls before finding that girl. And as women, it's important for us to know exactly what we want in men, because, again, those men exist. So if you know what you want, don't just compromise. No. Because it's just, the
other word is don't settle.
Don't settle.
Oh, I hate that.
You don't like it?
No, it's not I don't like it. It's I hate when people tells you, you should settle down.
Oh.
It's why am I settling for? I give myself my standard. The standard I'm waiting for someone is the standard I'm giving myself.
Yeah.
So it means that if I'm settling or compromising, it means that I'm compromising who I am as well. Or even how I'm, I'm walking through the path of life. Yeah. And I'm refusing that for myself. No settling, ladies.
Temi?
I see where you guys are coming from. So, as we grow older, it kind of takes time, as I think we kind of also mentioned earlier, as you said. So it takes time for you to get to even know yourself. Or we're too distracted by so many ways or things of life that you don't even sometimes know who you are. And then because of how the life structure is, you're moving from your parents' house, then to education, and then straight into marriage. And you're kind of learning on the spot. And it's almost kind of a bit too late at that time, because if you get it wrong, I'm not saying, well done to people that has got it right the first time. Sometimes people get in there and they've gotten it right. And it's a bit kind of something frowned upon in African homes, where you can't openly talk about relationships to your parents, to some African parents anyway. So where they're already guiding you, okay, this is the expectations you're supposed to have, or something like that. You don't really have that kind of open flow where you can discuss open. So you already know your expectations. And so that's why it's very important to kind of self-discover, understand what you want. Why are you even acting a certain way? What are your characters? What are your dislikes? What are your deal breakers and stuff? Security level is another thing again that we overcome over time as we grow older. So I totally agree. It's very key to know what you want.
Yeah, and if it helps, write it down.
Yeah, literally,
write it down.
Yes.
I think, I don't know if I told you. I think I mentioned this to Djouka. My therapist told me, it's an exercise. First of all, I wrote down my list of non-negotiables. And what is it that I am not going to negotiate. And now I have a list of non-negotiables. And these are things that some of them I used to negotiate. I'm like, I don't want this, but okay, I just might. Well, who is perfect and all of those stuff. Now I have a list of non-negotiables. And she also asked me to write what I want. And I have a very long
double page.
I mean, I mentioned that to one of my friends. He was like, wait, what? You have like, you know, like when you take a full scalp, an A4, those, it's about what, 42 or 40.
Yeah.
I filled it and opened it. And it was like, but to my friend, I was like, what did you write? Then I read it out to him. And it was they're just basic stuff.
things,
Some of them overlap. Yeah, and they just be human, I guess. It just means be a good human. I think there are different words we'd use to write the same thing. And I wasn't like, I'll just putting them down. It doesn't mean and also one thing about knowing yourself and what you want, it's also becoming that person that you would want to be with. I have at different stages of my life asked myself, would I date me? And I'm not being like cheesy or anything like that. I've asked myself that question.
You have to.
And in the past, there are times I'm like, maybe me in the next 3 years. And so I did it until I got to the point where I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would. And I think that it's just not expecting what you don't have. Yes. Like, work on becoming that person yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into a long monologue, but it's also like work on becoming what you want.
Yeah.
And also knowing what you want, I think it's not just about having a type. I think people talk about type. You can have a type, but for me, it's more like I feel like I have a kind.
Yeah.
The kind of person that I want more than the type. If it makes sense.
I think I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't know if you guys kind of have experienced this as well, where you have a type, you know all of that, you've done those exercises, but if you look at the history of the pattern of people, if you've dated, you probably have realized that you've dated a certain pattern of people. And again, is linking to what you're saying, that what kind of people what kind of person do I want to become?
Yeah.
So am I working on myself to actually being able to attract that person that I want? Because if I've got a pattern of things, that means there's something probably wrong with me that I've not maybe not the right one, maybe not wrong, but there's some things that I've not worked on about myself that is making me attract this kind of people. Am I secure enough to be able to date a certain person that I want? Why am I settling for this kind of person? Is it because there's some... Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I get you.
So that's another element, or at the stage I'm in, I like work, I'm like, there is a pattern. So that means there are some elements of myself that I haven't actually worked on. And that is a challenge in my life that is probably meaning, is the easiest option for me to go to, and it all ends the same way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So...
Wow.
It's funny because I've had an ex actually ask me if I will marry myself, because we were having an argument, like we were like almost engaged. That's like the type of conversation we were having, and then in the argument he was like, "But do you even think will you be able to marry yourself? Do you think you can marry yourself because you haven't seen you?" And I said, it took me aback because I was like, why would you ask that? And then I said, of course. Like, and I listed him, everything that I found for him. But also me, I was like, I'm this, I do this, I'm like this, I'm like this. And I was like, who would not want to marry me? I will marry myself if I could. And then he walked off. He was like frustrated because usually like, I think in the conversation he was trying to get me was like for me to start reducing, like, reducing myself and try to be like, oh, I'm sorry. But the fact that I kind of came back with like, an argument and like list.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but thinking back now, I will still say I will marry myself, but I was still a bit immature. We're not the same person we were like a year ago. So obviously I've grown up since like that time when that thing happened. But I will still say, yes, I will definitely marry myself and still like know that she's this person and she can only grow up to be an even better person. You know, it wasn't like my quality were like the things he was saying that I was doing were not things that you can be like, oh my God, this is going to get worse in time.
Yeah.
It was more like, oh, it's going to get better in time.
Yeah.
So he did not trust that. So that's your loss, man.
Wow. I feel like, and it goes back to self-awareness.
Yes.
It goes back to self-awareness. Like, and I totally get what you said, because for example, if, like when I said, when I asked myself if I'd marry myself, maybe the next 3 years, it doesn't mean I was horrible. It's just that means that I have a certain standard.
Yeah.
And I want to match up to that standard of what I want and where I am, and just to make sure that I get there when, if that's what I'm expecting. Another thing that you mentioned to me that I think I would like us to talk about is something I've been thinking about a lot, which is security. What do you think about just feeling secure? And I'm not just talking about, well, you can talk about the physical security, but I'm talking about emotional security, or the kind of security that comes with being with someone. What are your general thoughts about that?
Do you want to start?
You want to unpack the trauma?
Oh yeah, let's go.
No, I feel like, I don't know if how can I start this? How I feel secure, or how does the person makes me feel secure?
I think so. Those are two very important things, but this is my thoughts around it. Because I've come to realize it's important to be with a man who feels secure in himself.
Okay.
Because I think also that a lot of the challenges that we're facing with dating can be attributed to men not feeling secure, or the men we date not feeling secure. So if this person is trying to make you feel less of yourself, then it's not a man who is secure in himself. If this person is offended because you talk about things about, for example, something as little as shopping, or even just telling someone that you're a feminist and the person's offended, he's not secure in himself.
No.
All of these little things, I find that there's a distinction between men who are secure in themselves and those who aren't. Just a bit of an anecdote. You know, we're having a conversation about fashion prior to this, to filming, and then we mentioned how people who wear some of the most expensive brands can just be walking without, like, they don't need to show it off.
They don't need, because they're secure in themselves.
Secure.
You know?
Yeah.
They know they have the money.
They're holding this tote bag that is like £2,000.
Yeah, they don't need it to have like a branded name on it.
Exactly.
Like, they know what it's worth. They know their value.
So they don't need to tell you, I'm a high value man. I'm a high value man.
Like, the value speaks for himself. Like, it doesn't scream. When he's screaming, it's a fake one. It's a Shein version. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
No.
Don't sue us.
No.
That's what I was thinking when I asked the question. But because I feel like it comes from, sometimes some of these things come from insecurity.
It's come from definitely insecurity.
Yeah.
But if I'm sorry, go for it.
No, it's fine. I mean, obviously it's two. When it comes to relationship, obviously we all know it's both ways. So it takes two to tango. So if there's one secure person and then there's the other person not being secure, there's a problem. Obviously the aim is for the both parties to be both secure.
Yeah.
For addressing the men's security first, you know, like let's say the other person is somewhat secure as well. Over time, it starts to challenge the man if it wasn't secure, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it can extend to jealousy, it can extend to projection, it can extend to the person being extremely too sensitive, where you mentioned something as simple as, I don't know what you mentioned earlier, and they can get very easily upset about those kind of stuff because they're just not secure. Whereas if you're dating a secure man, you can almost tell them anything, you can be yourself around them because you already know that they understand, they're not going to misinterpret everything that you're saying, and you can almost joke about anything around them. You can literally be yourself. But when you start to tiptoe and start to walk on the shelf, and over time that takes away your security as well, because then you're like, okay, you know what, if I do this, this might trigger something, and then, you know, and that's where, you know, if you're not very sure about yourself, or you're not confident as a lady, over time that you can start losing yourself.
It's true.
Which was one of my lists as well, like, you know, which we'll cover again. One of my lists where I said, don't make a man or anyone that you're dating your whole word, basically, because over time, if that ends or if it doesn't work anymore, and you've adjusted everything about yourself to that person, and it doesn't work, you kind of completely lose yourself, and then you start to find yourself in a very strange place mentally and emotionally. So
and I think that's why a lot of women don't want to leave, because they feel like, oh, I have worked, I struggled with him, I did this throughout this time, and I don't want to leave because ABC. And one of the ways in which I feel like also some men are insecure, and I say this without apologies, is when men say women are not submissive. I think the whole submission conversation. Okay, now you go for it. We're going to move to the next.
Like how we're all bouncing off of each other.
The next point now.
Yeah, so I said, do not submit if he's not worth it.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a feminist. But I also believe in the fact that man should be provider. And I'm just complimenting it. Right? There is no way in this world that there's, first of all, the 50-50 conversation is a no for me.
Okay.
But there is no way a man is going to be earning more than me and expecting me to be paying the same amount as him in the house, knowing quite well that I will be the one raising the children, taking care of the home, and also still working, because I would like to still have my career because I've worked hard for it. And there's this thing that men feel like just because they're providing the money, then women should submit. No, the submission is earned. You have to provide, but you have to show me that you're a secure person to be around. You have to show me that you are kind. You have to show me that you are a generous person. You have to show me that you will take care of the family. If, like example, if something happens to me, you need to be there. You need to raise your children with kindness and love. You need to be this person that makes me feel so much scared and cared for and loved that I will submit to you. If those characteristics are not there and you're just providing, there's not going to be submission.
What does submission mean?
Oh, that was going to be my question.
Submission. So there is...
Everyone can have a different...
Yes. For me, submission is like following the path of who is leading the household.
Okay.
For example, if he's like, okay, he would still talk to me about project that he wants to have, like, okay, baby, we're gonna do this next year, and then I'll like, okay, can we like talk about my own things, and then just include me. But it will always be he will always be the person that's like taking the lead in the bigger aspect of the household.
Okay.
Like he will have not the last word, because the woman also is always having her last word in the chamber. She has her ways, but exterior, like you will have like my full support and my full, how would I say, love and admiration. That's like what I see as a submission. I don't see it as, oh, I'm just gonna shut up my mouth and like follow him behind. That's not my version of being submissive to my future partner.
But he should deserve the submission.
Exactly. Yeah. It's earned.
It's earned.
It's not by, as I said, just because you've got money and you're providing.
But what if you have more money though?
That would never happen, that I'm with someone that doesn't earn more than me.
But isn't that you kind of limiting yourself?
Exactly.
Because then that could be this situation.
Guys, why are you putting me on the spot? It's like, I don't want to.
It's true.
You could get somebody and a lot of money.
Okay.
A lot of
that
money.
Case, if that happened, he will still need to have like all those characteristics that I've just mentioned before.
Okay.
And that will like be meaningful for me to actually like forget the financial aspects.
Okay, so you just need an element of leadership from the man.
Yes, because I've got a strong character.
Okay.
You cannot be with me and just be meek. You can't, because I will swallow you full. And I've literally like left someone because I felt like you were not mentally like not strong enough, but I didn't feel challenged by you, and I felt like I was the one that was dominant. So I need someone that's gonna.
I mean, I feel like that's fair someone might also say they need a man who would be less. I don't want to say who would submit, but someone, there are women who want men like that as well. So I think also.
But that depends on each. I feel like it's each person's character.
Exactly.
Like you can't just like what I said. I know like some people are like, oh no, I don't like my man like that. I would like 50-50. That's good for you. Yeah. Like, if that's what you want
not
to.
even 50-50.
I think my take on that is, or I've always had is, it's not about 50-50, 70-50 or 20-30 or so. It's about we're in this together. We're in this together. We're forming a partnership. If I see that you're struggling, I love you and I'm able to support. And if it's the other way around as well, I expect that. However, there has to be a foundation where at least what you've mentioned already, that this is we kind of have a foundation where I know you're the provider and I'm here to support you. I want you to take that lead. I'm a Christian as well, and it's guided there where how expectations that are set on men and women. Okay. But at the same time, it's very clear that to show that there's someone that's taking a lead in the relationship, but taking the lead doesn't mean you're not giving the other person, the other partner, being a female, that voice to be able to say, look, why don't we, you think we should do it this way, why don't we go this way? It's not like you're being like, okay, we're not paying the bills today and that's it, that's authoritative. That's why I don't see it as submissive. And that's one of the things that you start losing yourself. You don't have a voice, you start losing your self-esteem. Over time, you don't have your thing. They can literally just tell you, okay, you know what, I don't want you to work tomorrow. Because you have a submit, you have to submit. Then okay, fine. My husband knows best, so I'm not going to work.
And next thing you know, you find housewives that are coming to TikTok to testify that they're like living in their car because they were submissive, they were they didn't have any access to the couple's accounts, and the man just threw them out on the street with the children.
And then even it can get to a point where the husband will feel overwhelmed as well. There's another side of it that you think is realistic, is possible, but over time you may start feeling overwhelmed by the whole huge responsibility set on himself to do everything to provide.
But that's why I say like it has to be an aspect of respecting me, and then we are actually like in it together. Like the financial aspect, when I'm saying he's providing for the house, it's not just like he's paying for everything. It has to be more of a 70-30 than just like him paying for everything. He has to know that I'm here.
There, we're in this together.
I really do get what you're saying. I mean, although I'm more aligned to you.
That's
true. But I appreciate. I get what you mean, because I think, like we said, everyone has a preference, and again, a lot of women like a man who is somewhat able to show leadership. And also that's how we've been raised, and also, depending on the personality, you may need someone to complement that energy in a sense, which is good. I also think you agree on some levels, but it's just that, okay, I don't have strict expectations. I may earn more, you may earn more, but it depends on where we meet. And I feel like for me, I think the most important thing is, well, granted the person doesn't change. I know people change in the middle of things. For me, the most important thing is what I have seen at the beginning. If I want it, yes, we're going in like that. And as we go, okay, I don't mind earning more. I want a lot of money, right? If I find that I'm going to earn, say, start making $1 million in a month. Yeah, I know. I'm shooting for the stars. So I'm going to earn $1 million a month, and you're earning, say, 500K. I'll go for it. And okay, so how are you going to manage these finances? Bearing in mind that $1 million is mine, but what are our needs? And I'll make sure that I bring more to complement that. What are your strengths? What are you, so I feel like it just depends on the dynamic.
But then that's where I've always seen that, again, we're just talking on the financial side of the partnership in a relationship, because then it comes to the section where women are expected to start cooking. I was touch up on what you said, but women are expected to, like gender roles, you're the woman of the house cooking, and then, because you've gone, you're earning more, then the pressure is all set up on the woman, and then you're the mother as well, looking after your kids. I've seen people as well, they'll come from work, they'll be working, go home, have to cook for the kids and family. In the middle of those processes, they're trying to do the school runs, picking up their kids, the same woman, doing everything, and it's the same cycle. And this person is physically exhausted. But obviously the man has got one job, which is to provide for the family financially. But at the same side, it depends on what the provision will classify in. Are we actually saying provision is just based on the financial aspect?
Yes.
Things.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying
He
to
needs
say?
to also participate.
Yeah, so that's why that's where my take is, we're in this together. It doesn't matter what the society say. You say that I'm struggling, I say that you're struggling. How can we support each other? We don't even have to ask the question. It's almost like you wanted to sit down earlier on. I'm watching behind your back, like I don't want you to sleep. If I see that my partner is about to sleep, then I'm here to support, and vice versa. If I'm exhausted, looking after the kids, why can you do the school runs, for example?
Speaking of like this whole like house chores and all those things, you see, that's why it's good to be a neurodivergent and actually telling my partner, I'm not doing all of that. No. No.
Yeah.
Like just talking, it exhausts me. Like my friends.
Oh, okay.
My friends have children. Like one of them, I'm gonna talk about her. I'm actually like gonna shout her name, Rebecca. She's a blogger.
Rebecca.
She's a
Okay.
Christian blogger.
Hi, Rebecca. I thought you were gonna say I'm not gonna mention her name.
I
And
will
it's like
mention her
Rebecca.
name.
I was like,
She
hi,
needs to be
Rebecca.
known. So Rebecca is a mom of three. She became a mom of three this year. And she managed her household like, we call her our hero.
Oh.
I do not know what energy or fountain of youth or fountain of energy she drinks each morning. But Rebecca is up to down. And everything that you said, she does it. And children activities, taking the children out, dropping them to the nanny, going out to do. She's got her own business. She has to take care of the house. She's coming back with the children. She's got the new baby that she's taking care of. It's insane. Her journey looks like mine in a week. And that's but that's
exhausting.
It is exhausting.
And she is exhausted.
But that's the reality. You know what I mean? And her partner, like her husband, it also comes sometimes like take care of the children, when she's very like overwhelmed. But just the beats, like her minimum day, that's like a whole week of charge for me. Do you know what I mean? So I say to myself, if this is what motherhood and like being like mom and like wife and this is, I cannot. My brain is just like, I can't.
It's a lot.
We'll have to like either share or either pay someone to help us.
You have to share, isn't it?
And that's what I was trying to say. Because if we're talking about partnership, that when we're saying 50-50, that's where it kind of be like we're limiting it just to the financial side, because it's a bit more complicated than that. When you start getting into marriage, there's that element of extensions of stuff, who's managing the bills, who's managing aspects of children's assignments as well. The mental health of the children as well are very key. Do you even have the time to check in on your children as well? So it should be a partnership where everyone are actually in this together, but someone is there to take the lead, which is the man. But it's also okay sometimes if the man is not able to take a lead, mental health as well, setting expectation. You're a man, you should be doing this. There shouldn't really be that.
I feel like you shouldn't have that conversation and be like, you're the man, you should be able
That's
to.
What I'm
you should be like
say.
More like, babe, do you need help?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Just open up and have this. Also, the man needs to also open up and talk about his struggling. If he's struggling, just like say, babes.
But then there's this how, again, what we're talking about, African household, where the expectation set on men is not to express themselves or how they feel emotionally, or how they can show being a man is not to cry or show emotions. To be tough, you don't show your emotions. And even if you're not okay, you don't show it and you toughen up. And that's one of the issues in communications. When that person is now moving to a marriage, if they are not okay with what their partner is doing, they're not expressing it, and you're feeling like, okay, my partner is changing, but it's just that you've now spent so many times with this person, and they're not in essence changing, it's just how they are. And you've now, that honeymoon period of phase has now gone over. Now you're able to see each other for who you really are. It's never not been there before, but you just haven't
You just
been able.
never really saw it.
So-
I agree with that. I've always been of the view that when it comes to, I don't like gender roles. I totally don't like gender roles. I think when it comes to roles within the households, it should be dependent on people's strengths and availability. So, for example, I'm coming from work, I'm really tired. You don't expect me to cook when you are at home, you know, so just make the food. Also, maybe you like ironing. I don't really like ironing.
I hate ironing.
So why don't you do the iron? I do this.
I don't even do it properly, so you yourself.
Give it to me. But also, when you listen to the language that we use when it comes to responsibilities in the households, usually when we talk about the man, it's like, oh, he's helping with the children. He's helping with
his part.
No, like it's actually a big thing where, oh my God, my baby's helping.
What do you mean?
It's your child as well. What do you mean you're helping?
Helping?
What do you mean? Like, this is how we made this child
And then
together.
there's so much like, oh, he's doing the
He's a
bare
good
minimum.
man.
And then you're like, oh, he's a good man, he's helping. Look, he went to he fed the kids, he fed them.
That's the bare minimum.
It is your child.
You know, which is, it makes you understand why, you know, there are conversations around women, why women should be paid for domestic work.
For real,
Like, it's just a lot.
It's a lot. Honestly,
It's a lot.
Is a lot.
And also the part on men not being vulnerable, I think that's a big thing. I think, personally, I feel like true masculinity is secure.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You being really secure.
I agree with you.
But if you feel like you have to front, then it's not. It's really not.
Like what we said earlier,
Yeah.
the value doesn't scream by itself.
Oh yeah.
It shows up.
It just
High value,
shows.
man.
Like
You say that word, I hate that word.
But also, since while we're on the subject of high value men, what do you think about high value? Because I remember.
There is no such thing as high value man. It's an invented crap.
I had a conversation with another group of girls about the same thing, and some think that there's nothing as a high value man.
There is nothing like a high let's say a high value person. Are you an MVP? Are we playing basketball? You know, like, are we? No, there is no such thing as high value man.
So do you think there are no high value women?
There is no high. No, the fact that you're pricing people, like you're putting people on level, it's nonsense to me. Because your high value man can be trash to someone else, whereas someone's trash can be someone else's high value person. It doesn't mean sorry.
You know,
but it's nonsense. It is nonsense. I would say if you want to look at a man and say like, oh, this man is he's got a good career, you know, but those are, and he's got a good physique, he's attractive, he's got ambition, he's got a lot of things going on for him. I can understand that, you know. But then after you've said all of those things, who is he really behind closed doors? That's what actually matters for me.
That's what you can see.
You know, because when all those people are saying high value men, it's just those like physical, like, you know.
Let's pretend.
I saw the
did
video.
you see? Okay, do you know the video I'm going to talk about?
Yes, the one where she read him to filth. Is that the one? There's like this guy, he had like
I'm 6'2". Oh my god.
And then she read him to
It was
filth.
like, I'm black.
Yeah.
So you're black, you're 6'2", makes you high value. And he mentioned money, how much he earns. I'm like, okay.
So,
That is like physical attribute that's like rubbish. Because who are you behind closed door? Who are you when there's no camera? You
That's
know?
your acting.
Yeah.
So you're not being yourself.
At all. And
That's
the
what
worst thing is that, you know, people follow up with his actual, with the guy, because he was selling
of
himself.
course.
So I don't want, are we allowed to talk about him?
Well, we didn't mention any names.
Okay. So apparently this guy has been just talking trash about women and saying that how he doesn't want to date women who have kids. Long story short, find out that he's actually dating a woman who has kids.
Okay, I didn't know about that one.
And he got her pregnant.
Okay, what's happening?
And
Is it a different guy from
It's the same.
before?
It's the same guy. It is exactly the same guy.
Okay, I don't know.
So everything that he's been saying, and I'm this, and then you're just literally doing the opposite. It's crazy. That's why I say all of those like people who scream that I'm high value man, you're zero value, because if something is of value, it doesn't scream for it. You don't talk about it.
I think that's
people know. Sounds like another story, like another. I don't want to mention name as well, but it's someone else that is quite a motivational speaker online.
Oh, okay.
And he's a guy as well. You probably know as well. And then comes to know all of the things. It's like he's almost he's not a feminist, but obviously, but yeah. But
wait,
yeah,
hang on. Is he a dating coach?
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Was he cancelled?
Yes.
Okay, I know him.
You know what I'm
I
trying
don't
to talk
know who
about.
He was on YouTube.
He was on YouTube.
I know
and
him.
he posts a lot of stuff on Instagram and stuff.
Oh wow.
And then, like, he's like an exemplary, like, oh, you know how when you're hearing your guest saying your standard of a man should be, you're now hearing a man saying it, or how a woman should be treated, and then you'll be thinking this person is that person, comes to say that it doesn't treat his partner that way.
Wow.
It's cheating on that person non-stop, opposite of every single thing.
Okay, I know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Well done.
Sometimes my dad says that don't listen to what the person is, or it's almost like take the lesson that you're taking from that person, but don't judge.
Do what they're doing.
I don't know how he puts that word, but it's almost like, yes, this person might actually be passing the right advices, but forget their own personal life, almost like even if their real life is not showing that way. Maybe that's another way of them saying or knowing that that's one element of their life that's wrong, and they're trying to teach other people
the good way.
Yeah.
Like, do what I say, don't do what I do.
I think that's the word, yeah.
I would like to add like a last one, something that I learned during dating. It's a bit hard, this one.
Okay.
It's do not share a past trauma to a dating partner. Like someone who you are dating, do not share any of your past trauma that happened to you. Because if it doesn't go well, they will use it.
Yeah.
If it goes well and you guys are having, like, you don't know his character yet, you guys are having an argument, he will use it. He can even use it just to make fun of you. So if it's not someone that you know you're gonna marry, and then you guys will share whatever you guys went through in life, do not share your difficulties you've been through life or any past relationship that went badly. Don't share it, because they will also think that because she's been through this, I can just treat her anyhow. It's fine.
I would like to disagree with you on that level. Sorry.
That's fine.
I mean, to be honest, I do see where you're coming from, but the right one will not use it against you.
That's why I say, like, when you meet, don't share it with people who you're casually dating.
Dating stage.
Yeah, that's why I say at the dating stage, do not share it. It's only if you're sure of the person that you actually have been in a good, you're in a good place. That's when you can actually open up. But if you're just like, dating and still getting to know him, do not open up just that part of your life, because it's too much.
I mean, I agree. I agree, and I also think that sometimes people feel like because you have experienced this, they can also do that to you.
Exactly.
And if you want to start on a certain level, you start on that level and just move.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, if it's someone that you feel like, okay, you really trust, you're going to go far, you get to that point, then you tell them. But I feel like it's just like when they say when someone compliments, you just take the compliment and be like, oh, this is an old dress I bought 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, like,
and you know what, for me, it's very hard to take compliment. I've just like recently started saying, oh, thank you very much. Because before I used to justify
why they should
I've just returning back to the dating thing, that's like one of the points for me was the last one. I said like it's important because a lot of young people, even like older people, feel like because I'm sharing this to this guy, so he will treat me better. When it can be the opposite.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's so important, and I 100% agree with that.
So it's just be cautious with who you tell your
I think I see where you're coming from. I mean, I've had that perspective, but somehow again, maybe now that you've made it clear that it depends on the stages of the relationship dating, because I've had that mindset where I didn't feel like I'm comfortable enough, or I need to feel comfortable or secure enough with that person to be able to share that trauma, because then it's a two-way thing, like you say. Either they use it against you, or they use it as a way to make the relationship work better, because then that person can understand you better. Because some of those traumas allows you to act a certain way, or allows you to behave a certain way.
Yeah.
And if or at least how I would do, if someone told me their trauma, it makes me a bit more understanding. It's okay, maybe this is why this person is behaving that way, and I can see that they're trying to work on it, then I know that I'm a bit empathetic on the way that I handle or deal with that stuff. But again, I guess what you meant is it depends at the stage of the relationship, you know.
Can you like tell the person at the initial stage just something general without going into details? So for example, tell the person, I've got ADHD, but I don't have to tell you how it's affected me in the past.
No, I don't tell you how it affects me.
Yeah, so if like, so at the beginning you can just say I've got ADHD, and then maybe they would understand that okay, this is how I might. So you can have a general conversation about your fears, or maybe like the things that, but not
in the details.
Yeah.
I always think. I also
things like, for example, sexual assault. It's very personal.
It is very personal,
and
it can be.
It takes time.
You have to like be not confident, but trust the person. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just open up about that.
I totally agree, and I understand what you're coming. It just takes time, and it needs to be a process.
Yeah.
That person needs to have earned that thing, and you're trusting that person enough to share that.
And
personal.
I was gonna say just before, like some people confuse opening up at the right time with trauma bonding.
No,
that's something as well. Because when you share your trauma, and the other person might be like, okay, because you've opened up to me, I'm gonna also share my trauma. And then you said earlier that when they share the trauma with you, you're gonna be more empathetic with what they've been through, and kind of like accept some of their red flags, maybe. You know, whereas you were sharing it just to confide. So you guys have now trauma bonded, and you feel like you're close to the person, whereas you guys are not really close.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've recently discovered. Because I didn't know that was a thing. But after looking into it, I was like, okay, that's actually...
It is a thing. You're thinking you're close to one person, but you guys are not close. It's just because you've shared your traumas, and like, you know, maybe you guys live more or less the same trauma.
Yeah.
And then that's what made you close. This happened also in friendship as well.
Yeah.
You know? So it's not just relationship, it's also something that happens in friendship.
So I think that's where the potential things element comes in. When you're trauma bonded with someone, then you don't even have that time to get to know that person. You're then thinking, okay, this is what they're going through because of that. And then you're falling like, and this is what they're going to be potentially after
because I'm like this.
I feel like some people may even think they're in love when they're not.
They're not.
Yes.
They're like they've confused. How would I say? They've
because the emotions
told themselves that
all of those things.
They've told themselves that this person can actually get to where I am because I've been through this. So and I'm saying this because I've lived it.
Yeah, it's an experience.
It's an experience. Well. Like my ex was like, we shared trauma. Even though I loved him at the time and whatnot, but we're thinking back, I was accepting so many things because I was thinking that because he lived the same more or less type of trauma as me, that's why I can accept his behavior. But I was not the way he was. So why was he not like being like me at a certain point? You know, he was just like, he just stuck in his trauma, and he didn't like made the work on himself that I did.
Yeah.
Wow. This is really interesting. I feel like we could go on and on. Do you have any last points?
What was my last point? Maybe you go.
Well, I have one last one. Do you have another?
That was my last
one.
Okay, so my final point is, do not be afraid to be alone.
Oh yeah.
Very
I think after all is said and done, the most important thing is that I'm not saying decide that you want to be by yourself. But if the person is not coming, what would you do about it? You know, so while you wait, explore yourself, get to know yourself. And my thing is, be okay with eventually, if you never ever meet anybody, be okay with that.
I would even like to say, like, be your own person.
Be your own person. just be okay being by yourself. And when you're doing that, you would have the chance to become your full self. And that would eventually, like when you meet someone, then you know you're ready for the person. Not everyone would have a companion. There are so many different ways to find companionship. Through friendships, through various communities, through family, there are so many different ways that you'll be okay. I am not saying don't look out to have a partner. Just be okay being by yourself in the meantime or whenever.
Yeah.
And you will be desperate.
Yeah.
Because desperation leads to bad decisions.
Exactly. And to settling.
And to settling.
We say we don't like that word here.
And then that's going to affect you. Yeah. Anyway.
What's your last?
I think my last one, because I did have 4, but I would like to choose one of it. I think is that sometimes love is not enough. But because sometimes again, it depends on what love is or how everyone wants to define love. But sometimes when you spend so much time with someone and you've seen that, you've seen things that you shouldn't settle for, that we've said, you think, oh yeah, I love this person and I want to stick with them. And I think it kind of links to what we've already talked about as well again. But love is not enough because over time you think, oh yeah, I love this person, I'm going to stick by this person, and then it starts to affect you. You start to lose yourself because again, that's you not putting yourself first and you're not thinking about yourself, you're not thinking at the whole full picture. And I think that's what I've learned, because we can be swayed by the emotions and say, I love this person, but everything else is not in alignment. Everything else is not ticking, but that love or that attachment or strong emotional feelings is there, but it won't necessarily sustain the relationship. It will always bring that issues that you're having in a relationship. And that's one of the things that I've learned.
I totally agree.
Me too.
I think, so this has been really interesting, and I want us to have a very, very last part of our conversation. And I asked you in our previous video, but I'm going to ask you again. But I'm going to start with Temi.
Okay.
And I want us to use this platform to encourage people to be kind. And to spreading love and kindness. We need a lot more of that in this world. Absolutely. And my question, Temi, is what does kindness mean to you?
Very good question. I think kindness again is just giving without expectation. To be honest, or it's always been like that with me. I think that's something that kind of comes as a natural thing on my side, giving without expectation and treating someone the way you would like to be treated, or at least thinking about that person and not just thinking about yourself. And that's what kindness is to me, and I think I try my best to be as kind as I can possibly be whenever I'm giving. I think sometimes it's actually a privilege to be able to be kind sometimes as well. So yeah.
And you've been really kind with all of the insights you shared today. I know. Do you have another perspective on kindness?
No, I think it's the same thing for me as Temi. I would just emphasize that kindness also is giving without expecting to receive back.
Yeah.
It's that aspect for me, because a lot of people confuse kindness with, oh, I'm doing this and then it's gonna come back, or someone else is gonna do it for me. It's just do things with selfishness, just do it from selflessness. Sorry, just from your heart.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You've been very selfless and kind today, and you did that kindness with no expectation. We also want to say thank you very much for your kindness. And as much as you did it with no expectation, we have something really small that we want to say thank you with. For all of the kindness. It's just to say thank you for coming. And this is just
thank you so much.
Thank you. I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
And if you're watching, please do extend kindness to someone by sharing this video with them, because I'm sure it would really help them, and also help us grow this channel on a massive journey to grow this channel this year. So please subscribe and if you have any thoughts on all that we've discussed, we'd really like to engage you in the comment section. Do you agree with some of the things? It's okay if you disagree. We're all learning and we want to learn and grow. So until next time, we hope that you enjoy the season and the season of love, and we'll see you in our next video. Ciao.
Ciao.